Greetings, this is Kenneth Wind Spaziani from Accelerated Evolution, or AE, and I thought I would start the stream by displaying, just because Donald Trump loves gold so much, 2 items of gold that he could have acquired if he perhaps did not suffer from bone spurs in his feet. Now that that is taken care of, like a true patriot, I must remind the ill-informed, or those that seem to have amnesia. It's only been 4 years. It's depressing enough that you guys don't even remember any of these things as you're hashtagging and tweeting about the Trump protests. So let's take a look, shall we? Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Alright, looks good. So as we can see here, let's go to 11:29 p.m. on the 6th of November 2012. Quote, Donald J. Trump, at Real Donald Trump. We can't let this happen. We should march on Washington and stop this travesty. Our nation is totally divided. Thus, he is calling for people to march with ill intent. March on Washington, okay? Next, he lost the popular vote. This is crucial, because you'll see how this plays in. He lost the popular vote by a lot and won the election. We should have a quote-unquote revolution in this country. That is Donald J. Trump, November 7th. Next tweet. The phony electoral college made a laughingstock of our nation. The loser won. Thus he is stating that the popular vote was for Roms. Thus that means that he won. But Obama got the electoral vote, and that means that he did not win. He's disqualified. So in other words, if we take a look at it right now, Hillary won the popular vote, Trump won the electoral vote. So does that mean that Trump thinks he lost? Let's keep going. Next tweet. More votes equals a loss. ... revolution. Exclamation point. Let's keep going, because it gets better. It gets better. Our country is now in serious, unprecedented. That's right, in serious, unprecedented trouble. ... like never before. Yeah, you know, unlike 9/11 or when we were, bombed Pearl Harbor. Oh Lord. The Civil War. I'm gonna stop there. Let's fight like hell and stop this great and disgusting injustice. The world is laughing at us. That's what he stated. At that time, it had 1,750 likes. AKA, everybody was laughing at him. Now, Trump voters, supporters, etc., where were you back then? I mean, he was asking you to march on Washington to stop the travesty. You didn't obey your commander. You did not lead him into battle, or follow him into battle, excuse me. Let's keep going. This election is a total sham and a travesty. We are not a democracy. And just for one more reflection of the fact that obviously Donald J. Trump mustn't believe that he actually won if he believes the Electoral College is a disaster for a democracy. So, how do so many of you forget this? The March on Washington. The Electoral College being a laughingstock to the rest of the world and allowing a loser to win because the other candidate won the popular vote, which is exactly what had occurred this election. So, thinking that way, that means he must think he must have lost his election, right? Why did he give a victory speech if he thought he lost? That's blowing my mind. Alright, I'll cut down the sarcasm and I'll try to make this as quick as I can, alright? I'll speed this up a little bit. So, to Trump supporters, this is not just hypocritical, it is pathetic. And it's all right here. And he spewed a bunch out pretty damn fast too, as you can see on the right hand. I mean, our nation is once again, our nation is a once great nation divided. Alright, 4 minutes later, our nation is now in serious and unprecedented trouble like never before, as stated prior. Alright, now, he likes his 4 to 5 minute tweet breaks, sometimes 3, but you know. So we'll get right to the next one. Election is a total sham and travesty. We are not a democracy. 3 minutes later, more votes equals a loss. ... Revolution. 2 minutes after that, let's fight like hell and stop this great and disgusting injustice. The world is laughing at us. I don't know if he's hearing things in his head and they think he's laughing at, you know, if he hears laughing. The world must be laughing at us. Okay, Donald. Let's keep going here. We can't just let this happen. We should march on Washington and stop this travesty. Our nation is totally divided. Okay, so people are marching and peacefully protesting. Aside from, I believe it was in Oakland when the police gassed a bunch of people. But we won't touch on that at the moment. Okay, let's keep going. The phony electoral college, which got me elected right now. 2016 election. The electoral college got me elected, but it's phony. The phony electoral college made a laughingstock out of our nation. The loser won. And finally, he lost the popular vote by a lot, folks. A lot. Minus the folks. He lost bigly. He lost the popular vote by a lot and won the election. We should have a revolution in this country. Now, he wasn't talking like Bernie Sanders of having a political revolution. He was talking about marching on Washington and having a arms revolution. Like, I don't know if he could lead a revolution because those bone spurs, you know? Or else perhaps he would have something like this. If you're going to share this image or the video, use the hashtags hashtag Trump protest, hashtag WINDOWNED, that's wind-owned, hashtag Trump thinks electoral college is phony, hashtag Trump believes he lost. That's just a little psychological spin there. Hashtag accelerated E, hashtag wind of AE, hashtag AE, hashtag Trump wind-owned. Yeah, so the president-elect 4 years ago believes that the popular vote should decide the winner and everything else should be irrelevant, and believes that we need to fight like hell for this injustice and march on Washington. And then when other people march, all the supporters are calling them crybabies. The biggest crybaby has to be the guy that was spewing out every 3 minutes, 4 minutes, what was the longest, 6, 7 minutes? And just going on and on about how everything was rigged. But he didn't say rigged at this point. He just said that it was, you know, a sham, travesty, we're not a democracy. He was saying the country was just torn apart and that we needed to do something about it, so, you know. And just to further Let's pull up the good old article from New York Magazine. Donald Trump wins election, night's most unhinged conservative award. Long before the popular vote had been finalized, we're talking hours and hours, not days, the world's most celebrated village idiot, Donald Trump, took to Twitter to call for a revolution because Obama had won the election without receiving the most votes. Not long after, do remember, that Obama took the lead in the popular vote. So he looked like a complete ass, and he ended up... Well, okay, anyway. So, for this wonderfully insane tirade, some of which has been deleted, I will have links to the tweets that are not. Those are the ones that, in this image here, you can see, you know, I put a line underneath each one. The ones he deleted, just to put this out there. He lost popular vote by a lot and won the election. That's because shortly after he won the popular vote, so he had to not look quite as much of an ass. The phony electoral college made a laughingstock out of our nation. The loser won. More votes equals loss revolution. So he was just trying to make himself not look like a complete idiot. But he kept the whole march on Washington because Obama won, etc., etc. For this wonderfully insane tirade, some of which has since been deleted, but which has been preserved in its entirety, Trump wins daily until election night most unhinged conservative award. I'm not going to get into the runners-up because they don't matter. All that matters is this spree of sewage that came out of his mouth. But just remember, the Electoral College, according to Lord and Savior Donald Trump, is phony. It makes the rest of the world laugh at us. And that the person with the most votes should win. I'm not stating that we should change the election or anything. I'm just stating what President-elect Trump thinks. He also thinks that we should march on Washington because Obama won a second term and start a revolution. But when people march because he had one, they're crybabies and losers. Only imagine what he would have done if he lost. If he was ready to have people march on Washington, but people thought he was the village idiot and wouldn't follow him back when Obama won a second term, imagine what he would do if he lost to this election. So maybe you guys did do us a service, you know, because at least he doesn't have a whole bunch of people behind him. Well, he probably wouldn't be there because the bone spurs. He couldn't take the combat, that's right. Going out and committing God only knows what. So, this is once again Kenneth Winspaziani from Accelerated Revolution. You can find me on Twitter, _AE Wind. Retweet, use the hashtags, get this out there because nobody's talking about it and they're just spewing the same rhetoric, going back and forth, kind of fighting about the fact that people are protesting. When Lord and Savior Donald Trump told him to 4 years ago, so he must be enjoying it. As a matter of fact, I bet he wanted this. He said it was divided back then. He wanted it even more divided. He got what he wanted. You can see through it. You cannot see through it. It's up to you. But remember, he loves his gold, but bone spurs. Can't get these things with the bone spurs. Wind out.